Bicara Supply Chain, highlighting and showcasing solutions for the most complex challenges facing the industry in 21st century by our team of subject matter experts and mentors. Broadcasting every week, all year round, we will present the most up-to-date series of podcasts and webinars.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Bicara Supply Chain. This is Ph.D, your host, and I'm speaking now with Patrick Rigoni. He is a founding partner at the SmartChain International. This is a supply chain consulting firm focused on demand-driven transformation. Thanks for joining us and welcome to Bicara Supply Chain, Patrick.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so today's topic is how the supply chain agility delivers a value. But before that, can you please brief about yourself, your professional background, and what do you do at the SmartChain?
Okay, so I'm by training, I'm a molecular biologist, but after my Ph.D, I decided to leave academia and join the industry. So I've started as a production manager at Johnson & Johnson, and then I moved into different roles. As I say, first production, then I went into operational excellence. I became a Six Sigma Master Black Belt, a Lean Assessor. And I started moving more and more into supply chain projects and strategic sales and operation planning type of projects. Until then, in 2013, together with two friends, we established SmartChain. So SmartChain, as you say, the management consulting firm, we have a strong background in both industry and consulting, and our focus is really operation and supply chain excellence. So we help our clients define transformation strategy and roadmap for major supply chain transformation to become demand-driven, as you say. And then we help them navigate through them. So when you as a client are facing this kind of transformation, it is like being down in a valley and looking up at the top of the mountains, and you think, okay, how will I get up there? Okay. In reality, it's really a series of steps to get to the top, and we act like the Sherpas that lead you there. So we have developed over the years a very robust methodology to take all the steps necessary for a successful and especially sustainable transformation.
Mm-hmm. Great. The first question I would like to ask is related to the agility itself, where we may define agility is the ability to manufacture, to deliver the product and service with short lead time while providing enhanced value to customer. So what is your view on this, Patrick? Why is this becoming very essential now?
Yes, I fully agree. This is pretty much how I would define agility myself. And we thought about that in the past, and we came to our definition, and we came to agility as flexibility plus responsiveness. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Flexibility is bending without breaking, okay? How far can I dial up or down your operation without breaking it? And you can do on several dimensions. It could be on volume, number of products, whatever. And responsiveness is how quickly can you do that? So responsiveness is key, because you may have the flexibility like to double the output of your factory, but if it takes you 6 months to do that, then this is of little value. And we see today how quickly you need to be able to react. And then you mentioned the fact of providing enhanced value to the customers. And I really like that, because that is really at the core of the supply chain methodology that we promote at SmartChain, where every decision to buy, move, or make something must be tied to actual customer needs. Mm-hmm. So really the objective is to create an organization that can sense the changes in the market, then innovate and adapt very, very quickly. And right now is essential more than ever. But the thing is that in reality, it was already essential in the past few years. And I'm sure your audience is probably familiar with the VUCA terminology, okay? The VUCA, where V is volatility. Well, guess what? We are right now in a very volatile environment. Uncertainty, it's very uncertainty. We really don't know what will happen in the future. I was just hearing yesterday that many organizations and corporations they stop giving earning guidance because they really just cannot tell what will happen.
Yeah.
So complexity, I mean, with so many interconnections and interdependencies in the supply chain, you really lose visibility of the total system, and you lose visibility of the cause and effects. And then ambiguity, it's all fuzzy. We have plenty of data. Today it's not an issue anymore to collect data and to have data.
Mm-hmm.
But then you are in a problem like, I don't know, do you know the books, like the Where is Waldo books, where you have these hundreds of characters there, but to find out the relevant information, that's the difficult things. Mm-hmm. So this VUCA is growing constantly since years. And just now, in the last few months, it went into an exponential phase. So, yeah, absolutely, it's become essential. It will become vital for the survival of the companies. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, what are the major challenges to achieving supply chain agility, and how to overcome them?
Well, that's a great question. The major challenge is that, unfortunately, there is not such a thing like an agility module that you can just buy and plug it on your supply chain and there you go, okay? So it's not so simple. So you have really two roads that you can follow. One road, I would call that the traditional road, which is where 95% of the companies will follow. And then there is an alternative road, which is maybe 5% of the company, the early adopters that follow this road, but with huge success, and which is, by the way, the road that we promote. And let's explain the traditional road, okay? Once you're down a road, the natural things for you to do is to continue down that path and try to get incrementally more efficient. And how you do that? Well, by improving with technology, IT, automation, artificial intelligence, and so on. So you try to get better and faster. So what's the problem with that? So to understand this, we need to go back to the 60s, where the fundamental rules for planning supply chains were codified in the core of our planning system. So all of today's planning system are built on those rules, and all of our processes like sales and operation planning are built around those rules to accommodate them. And let me give you a couple of examples. Mm-hmm. Now, these rules, they force you to use a forecast as the primary input for your supply chain planning. Now, we know that forecasts have always been inaccurate. And right now, with this COVID-19 crisis, we can say that they are probably absolutely useless. Now, the traditional road call for investing in improving forecast accuracy. And that's what companies do. They invest huge amount of money to do that. But guess what? You can improve forecast accuracy pretty well in the short term. And I've seen really great AI tools with machine learning that can do that. But really, it's in the medium term where you need that, because if you are going to source a raw material which has a 3-month lead time, well, knowing exactly what you will sell next week is of very little help. Okay. Now, and there are data and studies that show that overall forecast accuracy isn't improving. And in fact, in my opinion, this is a lost battle, because you get diminishing return at every investment. The second thing is that once you have done your plans with your forecast and everything looks perfectly, with your supply and demand perfectly balanced, then guess what happens? Well, something always happens. the forecast changes, for instance, because it does that all the time. Well, that's the VUCA. And because of these rules, every time you change the forecast and you repropagate the demand through your supply chain, well, all hell breaks loose. This is called the bullwhip effect, and it forces you to constantly realign your plans and to do a lot of firefighting. So typically, the net effect is you end up with what we call the bimodal distribution of inventory, which means that on one side you have plenty of materials that you don't need or you don't sell anymore. At the same time, you have stockouts and lost sales and shortages of components, and which are disrupting your manufacturing. And then you spend a lot of money in expediting to try to correct this situation. Now, the traditional solution to this is to get more efficient and faster in reacting to these changes and realigning your supply chain. And this, of course, involves investment and use of better and better technology. Now, if you want to go down that route to become more agile, you can. You will find plenty of technology to help you in that. Absolutely. Now, the alternative road, which is the one we promote, is a little bit different. On this road, you fully accept that forecasts are inaccurate, and it's not worth investing too much effort in making them more accurate because it's mostly wasted effort anyway. So the idea is how to make your supply chain less exposed to forecast accuracy, make it resilient, agile, and able to adapt quickly to changes. Now, how do you do that? Well, you change the rules at the very core of your supply chain planning. So what we do, we select a specific decoupling point in your supply chain. And then you put stock buffers in these points. Now, these are not safety stock. They really behave different. In a buffer, all inventory is meant to be consumed. Now, when you do that, there are two things that happens.
Yeah.
First is the bullwhip stops. You don't propagate the bullwhip, and this creates stability, which frees up capacity. And the second is that the lead time shrinks, and by proper positioning these buffers, you can now buy, move, and make products not based on a forecast, but based on actual demand. And by actual demand, I mean either a customer order or a pull signal generated by a downstream buffers. So what you are really doing is pull at enterprise level, supported by technology, because of course you still need technology, and you still also need the forecast to help sizing these buffers, but it doesn't need to be perfect because those buffers represent a range of capability and they can absorb quite some swing in demand or supply disruptions. Mm-hmm. So then you continuously monitor these buffers and adapt them as you sense that things are changing in the marketplace. So this gives you enormous agility and resilience. And I have heard several times, for instance, one of our clients, it's a Shell lubricant. Mm-hmm. So we implemented this approach to the entire Shell lubricant supply chain. And it is, as per today, the biggest implementation of demand-driven worldwide. And they went through several supply crises in the past few years, but they were able to navigate through them and keep a very high customer satisfaction. And now with the demand crisis, just yesterday, a manager there told us they were able to drop and realign their plans to the new net levels very quickly. And we hear that over and over again from our clients or also from other people that do that. They say, look, I had this crisis and I truly don't know how we would have survived this without DDMRP. Mm-hmm. By the way, DDMRP is the technical name beyond these new inventory management rules for positioning, sizing, and managing those buffers. Mm-hmm. Now, there are some challenges in going down this road, and here they are. while the technical changes necessary to do that are relatively easy to achieve, these changes, they will really impact all the processes of the company. So the interaction between planning, production, sales, finance, logistics, even HR, and then there are the matrix and KPI system that connect all these functions. So very often we see company that go and do the technical changes. So they go and buy a DDMRP software, they implement DDMRP in the factory or in the distribution network. And they immediately achieve some dramatic improvements, like 100% service with 20, 30, 40% less inventory, lots of responsiveness, 90% reduction in expedited, but then only to find out that now they have a company that works with two different philosophies that are fundamentally incompatible with each other, and they don't understand each other. And then the risk is that the changes are not sustainable. Okay, they need to realign the entire company. So change management is absolutely key. So if you want to dry out a DDMRP, you better understand these impacts. And here is where, for instance, we as SmartChain, we can come and help these companies.
Mm-hmm. Great, nice. Another thing I would like to ask is, what advice can you offer to help business leaders to take the first step when they wanted to implement the agility in the supply chain?
Well, I think first you need to take a hard look at how you operate today. You need to ask you these questions. The problem of driving your supply chain by forecast. Do you experience a bimodal distribution? And changes in priority in your plans? Do you experience silos thinking and behavior in the company? Mm-hmm. You understand how these symptoms are all correlated to each other. Now, if you do that and you can answer those questions, then it's a great start, because you've started thinking systemically and understand the root causes behind these issues. So now you can start working on the solution. So you must reduce the lead times to get more responsive. And you must build buffers to absorb variability and give you the flexibility that you need. So, and when you do that, as I say, you will free up capacity, which is absolutely a key element to do that. Now, in the very, very short term, we are looking at this crisis, of course. These are medium-term solutions, okay? In the very, very short term, it's about survival. I think cash management is key. And I say cash management, not cost management, okay? Yeah. These are two different things. So if your market asks you 5,000 pieces of whatever you sell, but you produce 10,000 to be more cost-effective, then in reality you are burning cash, okay? And you are consuming precious materials that you may need tomorrow to produce something else. So in a situation where you're facing a supply crisis, that's almost the worst things you can do. So forget your fully absorbed unit cost for a moment and just produce what the market requires and focus on the cash management. Mm-hmm. And then as I say, start looking at how to reduce your lead time, build buffer to create flexibility. Education, there's plenty of new things you can learn. These tools and methods to do that exist now. They didn't 10 years ago, but now there is a formal and standardized approach to do all these things, and you can move pretty fast because you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Okay. In fact, in just a few months, you can already some major improvement in that direction with the right guidance.
Yeah, great. Okay, so before we close our conversation today, what's other thing you like to share to our listener, especially related to this agility in supply chain? Any kind of like key takeaway or summarize from our discussion?
Well, the key takeaway is that there is not an easy road to become more agile. But as I say, since 10 years, there are some very innovative approaches out there, and you may want to look into that. And as I say, you have two choices: force technology on the problem, or try to redesign your operational model for agility. So this is really for me the key takeaway. It will be a challenge. It will be absolutely a challenge. But I think, as you say, now more than ever, it's the time to really rethink your operating model and start thinking how to make it more agile from the design phase. So that's for me the key message.
At Bicara Supply Chain, we are committed to driving global perspective to embrace technological adaptation in improving process efficiencies. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share Bicara Supply Chain. And stay tuned for the latest updates. To learn more, visit our website www.bicarasupplychain.com. Thank you for listening to us. We look forward to seeing you at our next episode.